Welcome to the Voice of the Beginning, the Word of the Bible. Before we begin, help us spread the word. Subscribe to the channel, like, comment, and share with those you love.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Before anything existed, there was only Him. There was no time, no form, no matter, only eternity resting in silence before the Creator. God is the point of origin for everything. Nothing came before Him. Nothing exists without Him. He was not created. He is. Everything we see, touch, or understand began in that moment, when His will was manifested and brought the heavens and the earth into existence. Spiritually, this beginning teaches us something powerful. Everything starts when God is at the center. He is the foundation, the invisible support behind every structure. And that is why any life that tries to stand apart from God ends up empty, unstable, lost. Only He is eternal. Only He is the source. Everything that truly has value is born from His presence. When we put God at the beginning of decisions, paths, thoughts, chaos begins to organize, and the invisible begins to take form. And the earth was without form and void. Darkness was over the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was moving over the face of the waters. The world began immersed in chaos, wrapped in deep darkness and lifeless silence. There was no form, no apparent purpose, only a mysterious emptiness covering everything. But even in that dark scene, the Spirit of God was already there, moving, invisible yet present, silent yet active. Even before the first creative word was spoken, He was already moving, preparing everything for what was to come. Spiritually, this reality is profound. God does not withdraw from chaos. He does not distance Himself from the void. Many times our lives feel just like this, formless, directionless, covered by inner darkness. But even when we don't feel Him, the Spirit is already moving. He searches the depths. He hovers over the abyss of the soul. His presence always comes before transformation. Change begins in the invisible, when the Spirit starts to move silently within us. And where He moves, something new is about to be born. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. With a simple phrase, the darkness was broken. God spoke and light responded. His word is not just sound, it is creation in motion. Where there was darkness, now there is clarity. Where there was emptiness, now there is direction. This light is not just physical, not merely the brightness that fills space. It is spiritual revelation that dispels ignorance. It is the awakening of the soul. It is the moment truth invades the inner being and drives out every illusion. When God speaks, something ignites within us. Light appears not just around us, but within. It exposes what was hidden, reveals the path, and breaks the power of darkness. Nothing stays the same after the light of God arrives. And God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. The light shines, and God looks upon it. He sees that it is good, that it carries purpose, that it reveals. Then He separates. There is no mixture between what illuminates and what conceals. God draws an invisible line between light and darkness, between what brings life and what sustains chaos. This separation is not rejection, it is definition. In the spiritual life, this moment also comes, the moment when we must discern what is light and what is shadow within us, what comes from God and what pulls us away from Him. Not everything can occupy the same space. Light requires clarity, and darkness must be left behind. Separation is the beginning of holiness. It's when we stop being confused and start becoming whole. When we choose the light, we begin to see as God sees. And God called the light day, and the darkness He called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day. When God names something, He establishes identity. Nothing remains vague or undefined in His hands. The light is called day, the darkness night. He separates, and then He gives meaning. Interestingly, the day begins with the evening and ends with the morning. It doesn't go from light to darkness. It goes from darkness to light. There's a spiritual pattern in this. The journey with God often starts in the dark, in silence and confusion. But as he works, morning comes, clarity follows. God transforms what was night into the beginning of something new. Every day starts in the shadows, but ends illuminated by his presence. And so it is with the soul. What begins in darkness can be led into the light if God is in control. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters." And God made the firmament and separated the waters under the firmament from the waters above the firmament. And it was so. God continues his work of bringing order, separating what was once mixed. The firmament appears as a space between the waters, and this space we call heaven. He doesn't eliminate anything, but he organizes. He puts everything in its proper place. It's a separation with purpose. Spiritually, this reveals the internal process we also go through. Sometimes, inside of us, everything feels confusing. Tangled emotions, conflicting thoughts, desires pulling us in opposite directions. But when God begins to work, he doesn't bring confusion. He brings alignment. He creates space between what is earthly and what is heavenly, between what is instinct and what is purpose. The firmament God creates is heaven being born within the soul. The order he establishes is preparation for something greater. It is the Spirit forming the space where he will dwell. And God called the firmament heaven. And there was evening and there was morning, the second day. God gives a name to what he created, and by naming the heavens, he confirms identity, establishes purpose, and defines the place of each thing within the order he is forming. Nothing remains meaningless in his hands. What was once just space now carries an eternal name, heaven. And once again, the cycle of the day closes in the same way. It begins in the evening, in darkness, and ends in the morning, in light. This pattern repeats because it reveals something profound. With God, even what begins in confusion ends in clarity. His presence turns night into revelation. What was once only emptiness now becomes a place of vision. The heavens named by God are a reminder that above all things there is a greater purpose, and that everything he names, he sustains. And God said, "Let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathered waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. The divine order echoes once again, and what had been hidden beneath the waters begins to emerge. The land, firm and solid, already existed, but it had not yet been seen. It only took the waters to recede for the dry ground to be revealed. God did not create the earth at that moment. He simply revealed it. And so it is with faith. Many times what we're waiting for is already present. It just hasn't manifested yet. The structure exists, the plan is already in place, but our eyes have not yet seen it. And then God speaks, and what was invisible becomes reality before us. What seemed hidden is brought into the light. God's word doesn't just create, it reveals what has already been prepared. And when he looks upon his work, he declares it good. Because everything God does, even when hidden, carries value. May this word take root in your spirit and guide your steps. If this message spoke to you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.